Hello and welcome to Jolla Babylon Season One, The Making of a Suburban Punk, a podcast where I tell stories of my unsupervised Gen X youth to my coddled millennial little sister who happens to be the funniest person I know, the writer, actor, and comedian Katie Hartman. I'm your host, Aaron Hartman. So hi, Katie.
Hi, Aaron.
I'm super excited and a little bit nervous about what is about to happen.
Great. I'm super excited because I'm walking into this a little blind.
100%.
So the nervousness is, all I'm getting is from you.
That's right.
So that's great.
You are putting a lot less on the table than I am, I think.
Sure, except I am extremely emotional, so...
Which is why I asked you to do this instead of our other two siblings, because, emotion sells.
Cool, thanks.
You're welcome.
I love to be exploited for my heart.
That's right. And cry. So I have written this manuscript that is, I'm just going to say, is totally fiction. There's nothing in this book that resembles the truth, except that someone who knows me might be able to find some very close parallels to my actual life in this fiction.
I don't know if that will hold up in a court of law,
Nope.
but cool.
Nope. So I've been writing this thing for a super long time, and I know it's probably never going to actually get published. I kind of understand the...
That's not how you manifest.
Well, I manifest. This is how I'm manifesting.
There you are.
So I have these like really nice rejection letters that I've got a few years ago. So I just started reading it into my computer, kind of narrating it. I thought it would be fun to share it with you. So that's sort of what this experiment is. So I think that the format, as I kind of imagine it. So for the listener, they would, hear where we talk and kind of like, whatever, catch up. And also kind of I give you a little bit of a either trigger warning.
Okay, great.
I mean, a synopsis of what you're about to hear, but really.
Cool.
And then you go off and you listen to it. And then we come back and then have a second conversation about it.
Yeah, I love it. Should we establish for the listener like our actual like concrete relationship?
That might be a good idea. Yeah.
Great. We are siblings.
We are siblings.
Yeah, yours and mine.
Yeah.
We are half siblings.
Yeah. So I am almost 12 years older than you.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing.
That is the most important thing. You are Gen X. I am solidly an elder millennial.
Right. Yeah.
You can tell it by my upspeak.
And you can tell by my irony. Okay, so we have the same dad. Okay, so we have an older sister who is my whole sister. And then our dad and our mom divorced and then married your mom. And they had our younger brother, my younger brother, your older brother, Ben, and then you.
Yeah.
So I just made that super confusing, but...
That's okay. All they need to know is that you are the second oldest.
Yeah.
But you're the youngest of that family.
Yeah, I used to be the
I'm
youngest.
The baby.
Yeah,
right.
I used to be the baby,
and
now you're the baby.
Right. Now I'm solidly the baby. And it is great.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. But we treat you with respect.
Yeah. Sure. Sometimes. That's because our other brother is.
That's right.
You just make fun of him.
That's right. Yeah, Ben is solidly the scapegoat of the four of us.
Yeah, it's by his own doing. All good.
It's all good.
Great.
And
so we will. Yeah. I can't wait. So what are we listening
to
today? The first chapters?
Yes. So the first. Let me check. The first 4 chapters, and it is early childhood stuff. So
okay.
And
then can I ask you a couple questions in terms of the experiment?
Anything. Yep.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What would be like Like, what would be the best thing to come out of this for you?
I mean, I love the idea of you dealing with this.
Why did you phrase it like that?
I don't mean...
Oh no, now I'm nervous. That just made me nervous.
I mean, okay, I'm like, I love the idea of like, because there's a lot of stuff in here that is going to be new to you. So I find that really delightful to think about. So what you're going to hear is 4 chapters with music in between. That's my music. And each episode has a different song that I use as interstitial music, at least at this point. This is the experiment.
Great.
So to answer your question, what I would love to get out of this is for to entertain you, and to also and to maybe have some people listen to this and actually be curious about what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I love that. And then what is a fear that you about this?
It's a good question. I think my main fear or anxiety would be that it sucks, you know.
Oh,
and
sure.
That
Well, that's not going to be it, though.
You know, I don't love rejection, so you know, I don't. Yeah, so that's you know, when I said at the beginning that I was nervous, that's part of it. But just like, you know, if what I'm looking for is kind of like a wider audience, besides my fucking blood relatives who are in the story that I'm reading.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get that. I mean, we're both artists, so I totally get that. I mean, you're putting yourself out there, which I think is really awesome and brave.
Yeah.
And I think that you should be proud of yourself.
Thanks. And the other thing is I love the fact that, like, if we do this, then it's going to sort of force us to hang out and sort of like
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's stop the tape and let you listen to it, and then you want to like text me when you're done and we can jump back on.
Great. Okay,
Awesome.
so great. I am going to start listening to chapters 1 through 4.
Oh boy. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Extrasensory. I was sitting in my car seat and spoke with unusual clarity. Look, there's the coroner. I said it over and over until my parents looked out the window to see a car in the adjacent lane with a magnet placed over the driver's door with the insignia of the county coroner's office. I could not say my R's and did not know my alphabet yet. Minutes later, I was yelling about how it was my Aunt Ida's birthday, which it was not. Aunt Ida was not a close relation, so any mention of her at all seemed especially weird. My sister and I sat in the back, the wide collars of our matching shirts flopping in the breeze. The sun was in my eyes as I stared out the window. The highway was hot, all the windows were all the way down, and my parents were pretty freaked out. They had not spoken to each other all weekend, and now made eye contact for the first time. My dad sucked on his pipe. My mom stubbed out her cigarette in the armrest ashtray. The phone was ringing when we pulled up to the house. My mom ran inside to find that my grandmother had been calling all weekend, trying to tell us that Aunt Ida had died. From then on, any coincidence that came across as even slightly interesting was referred to by my mother as a psychic experience. She kept an appraising eye on me for any other signs of the extraordinary. My father kept his appraising eye elsewhere. Mom would pump me for details about my dreams and would listen as she thread together an optimistic tapestry of clairvoyance. There was an undeniable pressure to astound her with my abilities. I would often hear, "Oh, Adam, we're having a psychic experience. You should be on That's Incredible." I knew I did not have ESP, but I was not totally convinced I didn't have something other kids might not understand. Undelivered. My dad moved in with Irene not far from our house. They reserved the pool and clubhouse for my 7th birthday party, where me and a few friends would eat cake and rage around for a few hours. We jumped in the pool, knocked each other off the diving board, grabbed each other's dicks, traded Tarzan yells, timed each other's dead man floats, did flips off the edge of the pool, mooned each other, spit water, farted bubbles, had chicken fights in the shallow end, and no one wore sunscreen. Irene called us into the clubhouse for snacks. Popcorn, Tiger bars, giant Bavarian pretzels, and Dixie cups full of white grape juice were spread out over the table. She announced, "All right, everyone, turn around and face the wall. You're all in trouble." She stood in front of us. Her bikini was small. Her tan, muscular arms had goosebumps. My little voice screamed, "Why should we?" The gang of scrappy boys rallied around me. Jim Davidson grinned, "I can't turn around. My leg is broke." Jim could be counted on for mayhem. Irene's voice was sing-song nervous. Imitating Mary Poppins, she continued to misread the room. "I mean it, boys. Everyone needs to face the wall by the time I count to 10. We dug in for battle. "What did we do? We're being good." She started counting. I pleaded with my friends. "Nobody turn around." Jim, Josh, Eric, David, and Matt sat on the floor and wouldn't budge. Dad stepped out from behind the snack table. "All of you, get up and face the wall right now." We did. My party was beginning to suck. Irene counted to 10 and told us to turn back around. The glow of candles coming down the carpeted steps was a relief. I waited, wide-eyed, mortified by the attention. The room joined together to sing the song, while the fiery confection was brought to me with as much drama as the crowd could conjure. I was all set to blow after And Many More, when I noticed something was wrong. My body was working ahead of my brain, and I went cold. The candles were still burning. I was able to focus beyond the lights and could see that instead of a cake, there, on the tray, was an unmistakable, barely solid, red slab of raw beef liver. My enemy. My nightmare. The food version of a troll under my bed. Irene stood beaming next to my father. Of course, a real cake was waiting in the wings, a colorful Dukes of Hazzard themed cake that would never get sliced, with candles that would never get lit. I ran out of the clubhouse, down the path to the condo, upstairs to me and Sharon's room, and cried for an hour. I would not open the door. I did not listen to my beloved clock radio. I sobbed. I hyperventilated. I refused soft drinks. My friends went home, appropriately appalled by the liver cake and me crying. Dad and Irene were beside themselves. They talked to me from the other side of the door. I sat on the bottom bunk and blinked away tears, ignoring them. They knew they made a mistake, understood the practical joke wasn't funny, and I was in charge now. Me time. Mom's house was sparkling, not a crumb or an envelope or pen cap to be seen. she dusted picture frames and replaced those stove cover things as soon as they showed signs of blackening. Little pieces of paper and loose ends were bagged, stowed, and stuffed into bigger containers, often filing cabinets or laundry baskets piled in our garage to be sorted through later. Rambling through the garage was discouraged since there were tools, open cans of paint, family heirlooms stacked on top of each other, and framed photos leaning against poorly hung shelves I tended to want to climb. There were also buckets, bulk packages of off-brand cereal, trash bags full of rags made from my outgrown clothes, gallon jugs of bleach and vinegar. Parking a car in there was inconceivable. It was during one of my after-school snoops that I unearthed the tiny black and white Toshiba TV. Even though I was alone in the house, I wrapped it in a sheet and quickly hustled up to my room, where I turned it on, moved the antenna around, switching the channels until I was satisfied that it worked. All the stations came in pretty well, even the UHFs, which made me happy, since, as I discovered, that's where Monty Python, Benny Hill, and Elvira were shown late at night. I had already developed a habit of staying up way past my bedtime, listening to my cheeseburger-shaped AM radio. I would try to guess the next song while playing with myself under the blankets. I would lay there, using my single earphone for hours, waiting to make a correct prediction. And now, I had a TV, and no one knew about it. The first time I switched it on covertly, I kept it under my blanket, earphone plugged in. I would hear a creak in the house and turn it off, heart pounding. I got more bold as the TV became part of my routine. I would sometimes sneak it into the bathroom and perch it atop the toilet while I bathed, watching Three's Company and the Jeffersons without sound. Then, just a tiny bit of sound. My mom would never catch me. It was my sister I needed to look out for. I eventually learned it was safe to watch until my eyelids burned and I had to succumb to sleep. My mother was downstairs, ironing sheets, going through my stepdad's pockets, organizing the pantry, or sneaking a skinny cigarette. The truth is, she would have been okay with me watching TV as long as I was able to get up in the morning for school. But I preferred to have a secret. It kept me safe. First cups. My sister and I took piano lessons with an old lady named Mrs. Norris. We started when I was 8 and quit when I turned 12. Sharon and I each had half-hour lessons, and while one was at the bench with Mrs. Norris, the other was supposed to do homework on the comfy orange couch. But next to the couch was a stack of Mad magazines, so I tended to catch up on the latest spoofs instead. Neither Sharon nor I took piano very seriously. We both practiced just enough to move on to the next song. Our father also took intermittent lessons with Mrs. Norris. He used music and religion like a drunk stopping in at AA. He needed absolution every once in a while and was constantly figuring out his own ways to get there. At home, he would pound away at the Moonlight Sonata or something from Neil Diamond's Jazz Singer, yelling at the sheet music as he stumbled along. He was actually pretty good, better than I'll ever get. But my dad's piano playing was mostly cathartic. He only sat down to play when he was wrestling some demon he had yet to identify. He was a perfectionist and not super proficient, so he would end up more frustrated than before he started. Sharon was in 8th grade at the School of Creative and Performing Arts. On piano days, my dad would pick me up from school, and we would wait together for an hour while Sharon took the bus to Mrs. Norris's house. He was an important doctor with a new wife and baby who lived far from me and Sharon, and this was our designated quality time. Sometimes we would listen to NPR, but mostly we'd talk about school and why I thought I was doing so badly. Sometimes he was shut down like an umbrella, with his eyes closed and his seat reclined all the way back. One afternoon, my dad picked me up, and as we drove, he started talking excitedly. "We're going to try something new today. Instead of waiting for Sharon in the parking lot, let's get something to drink together." We pulled up to an old cafe called the Panikin. The outside was painted seafoam blue, which blended nicely with the naturally faded wood deck and steps that were the hallmark of the area. A typical block had things like a poetry bookstore, a shell shop, an old-timey stationery store, and a Ferrari dealership. My dad ordered a coffee and waited for me to do the same. I asked if I could get hot chocolate, but he said, "No, we're having coffee. Order a decaf." His voice was slightly hurried. I was dubious. Coffee smelled like home, but I'd tasted it before and it made me gag. He saw my uncertainty and softly persisted. "I'll just get you a small cup, and if you don't like it, you can have hot chocolate. But I want you to try the coffee first." I sat down at an outdoor table with hand-painted tiles in the center. The bench was as worn as driftwood and not very comfortable. I intentionally left my backpack in the car so I couldn't do homework before my lesson. My dad came out of the cafe and down the steps, his bifocal sunglasses barely obscuring his twinkling smile. "I fixed it up for you. Let me know if you like it." He sat down, took a slow sip from his own styrofoam cup, and looked at me. I sniffed the brew. It was still swirling from my father's rigorous stirring. He left the wood stick in the cup, which made a few centrifugal rotations before retiring. I was not convinced that this was going to work. I had never liked bitter foods, and my stomach started to turn. I sipped dutifully. We returned the next week, and I doctored my own cup this time, adding more sugar and even more milk. My father scanned headlines of the Union Tribune, and I told him about my fifth-grade dramas. My dad was never a consistent coffee drinker. He'd go from hot water with lemon to green tea to black coffee in cycles that were fashioned to offset or maybe enhance his deep mood swings. His attention to his own body, in general, was not reliable. He would gain and lose weight, hire personal trainers, throw his back out, get depressed, and then crawl back into an old routine. It was hard to watch, even if I didn't know I was watching.
Aaron!
Hi.
Hi! You know what's so funny is that, like, I think I inherently knew this, but like the moment it started, I suddenly was like hit with the intimacy of what we're doing.
Yeah, I know.
Not in a bad way. No, it's like we sort of already talked about this. I like I joked that I love to emotionally manipulate. That's not actually the truth, but I do love emotions. And that's how I like to connect. So I am the perfect person for this. I want to thank you again for asking me to do this, I think is the first thing.
Oh man. It's funny. Yeah. You were the only person I thought of to do this.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to be like, you were the fourth person.
You were the third person. Everyone else kept saying no.
No.
Yeah.
I think the other thing to just say out loud, especially if we, when people listen to this, is that our dad is dead.
Yes.
Yes. So
yes.
that is
that's the thing is our dad is dead and we loved him.
Yes.
Yeah. We like really, really loved him. He was like kind of the best. I a little bit give him short shrift in this and I
think it's fine. I think because like where the perspective that you're coming from is a childhood perspective.
From a kid.
Yeah. I think that but that's, I just think that for context for these conversations that we're having.
Yes.
It's important for people to know that.
Yes.
Yeah. He died like 20 something years ago.
Yes. And like, he was not a menacing force in our lives.
Usually.
But he was also kind of complicated. What do you say?
I would say usually. There were some bipolar dark moments.
No spoilers.
Oh, so sorry. Yeah, it's so funny. I don't even know how to dive in. Like, is it each one or just like?
I mean, whatever. Yeah.
I, of course, have heard the liver cake story. That is like one of the things, but
That's
and anytime it's brought up, and it's brought up as this like very funny thing, but whenever it's brought up in front of you, and I've definitely clocked this, it's not, you're like, it was actually really terrible. And like this, I mean, the build up to it here and just like your friends, like just getting on board with just like, fuck this woman. Like, and just like them thinking it would be so funny and just, it's so horrifying.
Yeah. And also just like the culture, because like your mom comes from a family that loves practical jokes. And like that's sort of like part of their love language, And I think that she was like, "All right, let's do this. This is hilarious. This is the kind of thing that's hilarious." And it totally could have been, but I was like not prepared for it. You know what I mean?
I know. I just like what. This was just such a misstep, such a miscalculation on their part.
The truth is that there was a whole thing with clowns they had hired.
Yes.
That like sort of backfired, that I had also written in and took out.
Was it that same
recently,
birthday too?
Yeah, it's the same birthday.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, it was like, and so I think that we were made to turn around, and the idea was that we'd turn back around and there would be clowns in the room. And that was like a whole like, it was just too long of a, just made the chapter too long, so I took it out. But like, yeah, it was a rough way to start being 7.
Yeah. Yeah. You're crying in your room.
It was just like one of those things where you try to write about or think about like, some defining moments of your life, you know what I mean? And I feel like adults disappointing you is like this, it's like this, it's like a scary thing, right? And it's probably scary for the adults too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, is this going to be a long lasting memory? And apparently it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor Aaron.
But no, not poor Aaron. No, this is not a poor Aaron thing. Is it? Is this a poor Aaron thing?
No. I mean, I feel bad for your childhood self. But also I'm glad it wasn't worse. I loved the secret TV. I loved that you would just liked having a little secret. I think that's so relatable. Mm-hmm. I think that's just like, and I love that it was that you were just trying to hide it from Karen. Also, I don't know. Then how do we talk about this? How do we talk about the way you use those names?
You mean because it's all fiction?
Yeah, because it's all fiction.
I do in real life have a sister named Karen, but Adam in the book has a sister named Sharon.
Yes, so I mean it's all fiction.
But I don't think she's. Yeah, I did introduce her as Sharon in this, but yeah, whatever. I mean, like we can talk about the story and then me, but we don't. It doesn't. I'm not trying to get free therapy out of you.
I'm not
Katie.
trying to give you free therapy. I'm not trying to get free therapy either. Although if that's an option, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Wait, and now I'm even blanking on what that last one was.
The last one was about my first cup of coffee.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why was he so adamant about that?
I don't know. I think that, that's, it's my memory. And, I think it's one of those things I think he found a lot of enjoyment out of coffee, at least at that time, and it's one of those, I think he liked euphoria. I think being bipolar, I think he definitely had that, like, something that kind of put him in that, happy place, like literal happy place, was really special to him.
Yeah.
And so I think he just wanted to share it with me, even though, or maybe it could have also been one of those things where he needed a cup of coffee, and I was like, let's go get some coffee. and the truth is, like, I have 2 kids, and as you know, and I do like really look forward to the time where I could drink coffee with them.
Yeah.
Which is insane, but that's true. It's like I'm just like, when, I guess.
Well, you love coffee. Like, you are like a coffee guy. Like, you have, how many different ways do you have it that can you prepare it at your house?
There's a lot.
Okay, the fact that you have to like think about it to count it is crazy. But like that is something that I think about you with. And I wonder, do you think that something like this had like created that within you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like, I was definitely drinking, a mixture of coffee and hot chocolate, like instant coffee and hot chocolate in the mornings by 6th grade.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. But like, it was, at that point, it was kind of like little pride, like, oh, my coffee,
Yeah. Yeah. I
but
also,
mm-hmm.
I think that the succinct way, I mean, the descriptions of Dad too, just sort of near the end of that chapter, sort of the,
mm-hmm.
I felt like that was a really good, all of those things all together was very, I don't know, it just, that really brought him to my mind, all his angles.
Yeah.
And
well, there's,
and also then I was like, oh no, am I Dad? Oh boy.
oh, try being a male. try being a 51-year-old man person, and getting out of a chair and hearing whatever sound you make and going like, oh, I know that sound.
Yeah, and even when you when you said that he like would shut down and close his eyes and stuff, like I can so recall that.
Yeah.
That just sort of like moment of, oh, what's happening? Nothing? Okay, I'll sit here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Okay. Yeah. He'll come back, but yeah, there he goes. But yeah, so we can end this, we don't have to have I don't know. I mean, right? Feel like I
wanted this to happen, but we can end it now, I guess. We can just be done, I guess. Well, I guess I'm excited to hear more.
Oh man.
I'm excited to learn more, and like I'll try not to cry on mic.
Oh my God,
often.
I'm trying to sell this fucking thing. Cry on mic.
No, because when I cry, it all comes through my nose. Like, does it happen to you?
Wait, that is totally in the next episode.
What?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Everything we're talking about right now. Hey, this is a really good segue. But yeah, the next episode there is crying through someone's nose.
Oh God.
And it's described. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I always sort of thought maybe it was genetic. Maybe I'll learn that it is. Okay. Cool.
There's a lot of genetics in this. Yeah. And I will say, like like I said, like I originally the book was just actually the original idea for the book was, I have all these kind of horrible like adolescent stories. Like, oh, remember the time of this? And so, a couple of people are like, you should write a book, but it's more like I started writing them down as a way to kind of like, have like the definitive story of this thing that happened. And then, I wrote this one. I was like, well, you don't know who this person is. So let me tell you who that person is. That's a whole other, 20-page section or whatever. So it ended up so originally it was just like about my adolescence. So now this is kind of like from early childhood until basically current times. So there's not that much more, little kid stuff.
I can't wait. Love it.
Well,
and I love you, brother.
I love you too. Or is that how we're going to end every episode? Is we tell each other that we love each other?
We don't have to. No, that we don't have to do that. Fuck you, I guess. Bye.
No, not like that. Who's Gen X now?
Is it me?
Well, thank you so much. This is really exciting to me, and hopefully listenable to other people. And we'll check back in with another episode.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. Let's have coffee together. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard, please tell a friend and subscribe. Your 5-star rating will help others find this fucking podcast. Please check out the show notes for links to Katie's comedy and a full transcript of the show. The Jolla Babylon Season One, The Making of a Suburban Punk, was written, produced, and edited by Aaron Hartman, with music by Aaron Hartman, co-piloted by Katie Hartman, presented in association with Ruinous Media. To hear more episodes of this show or other Ruinous Media podcasts, please go to ruinousmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts.